Hello and welcome to Undrafted, a Dynasty game theory podcast brought to you by the Undroppables. I am your host, Scott Belanger, aka Jax Falcone. You can find me on Twitter at Dino Game Theory. This is episode number 235. Let's roll. We are going into week 14, week 13 in the rear view. Interesting. We're going to have some Dynasty conversation, but we're talking a little bit of football. It's football time for sure. As a lot of the football questions that we are asking ourselves and others will lead you to your Dynasty action. And no better person to talk actual football than my friend Andrew Cooper. Andrew Cooper of Fantasy Alarm. You can catch him on SiriusXM weekdays from 6 to 8 and Sunday morning 10 to 11 on XM Radio. An absolute stud. And of course, a Patriots fan who happened to be at that shellacking last night, Mr. Andrew Cooper. Welcome back to the program.
What an intro, man. Always great to be with you, man. And yeah, when we get on here, I love that we can match the fantasy aspect, the spreadsheets, the film, the game theory. And this is the biggest game theory part of the year, right? You're the Dino Game Theory. That's your name, man. You got like 10 different names, which is great. I need more names.
Yeah.
Hit me up on Xbox, Sauce McFloss. I guess that's the closest thing I have to Jax Falcone.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
Sauce
solid.
McFloss.
Yeah.
Not bad, right? But yeah, no, I need more names, dude. But yeah, I'm fired up. I was at the game. Patriots crushed. I think they just said, hey, we got a bye week next week. Let's lay the lumber tonight. And, they put the screws to Jackson Dart. Gunnar Olszewski, you see he got a G knocked off his helmet on that collision. So, Pats came up. They wanted to show on the national stage that they were tough. It doesn't matter what the schedule is. Put somebody in front of us who are going to beat them up. And it was nice, man. Obviously there's questions about the schedule and who they are and their identity. But you know what? 11 wins, don't care.
Well, the schedule is what it is, and you got to play it. And they're dominating teams. Look, if they were losing these games, they can't even beat the schedule. So, I mean,
Right.
you can only play the team that you play that week, and they're playing them. They beat the Bills. They're going to have a couple of tougher games coming up. They play the Bills on the road again, and they get the Ravens. I think. Other than that, they don't have much.
It goes by Bills, Ravens, and like those are.
Yeah, and then
those
Jets,
are important games,
Dolphins,
no question. But like they've even got lucky with the schedule in some of that regard. Like
totally,
they missed Burrow 1 week before Burrow. They're gonna get toe injury, Lamar Jackson, it seems, or he's got all sorts of ailments going on here. So and the Bills, I mean, I don't know what's going on with them. Let me ask you, Jax, because in real life football, right? Management football at the top, you kind of have every team is like a 3-headed dog. Right, the 3-headed Cerebus or whatever it is. I guess if you're the Cowboys, there's only 2 heads because Jerry Jones is the owner. Yeah, he's everything. But most teams, when you want to make changes, you can only cut off one of the 3 heads: the quarterback, the coach, and the GM.
right.
And you can do them all at once. You can clean house. If you're the Bills and you want to make changes, like which head is the first one that you think of?
That's actually a great question. I haven't thought of it that way.
Right, because Josh Allen. Let's put it this way:
I would say
Josh Allen's not going to go. So do you fire Brandon
right.
Beane?
It's coach or GM, and what's interesting is I think generally, it's what would I do if I were the owner is different than what I think will happen based off of it's whomever has the.
What would you do? What would you want to know? I want to know what you do because you're smart. I don't want to know what someone might do. I want to know what you would do.
I might consider the GM. I mean, they haven't given him weapons, and they seem to be pretty well coached, to be square. I don't know that they've got the beef up front on the defensive line. I don't know that they've got the weapons on the offense to really compete in this league. I think they are well coached, so I think it would be GM. But what are your thoughts? You kind of with me, or?
So I'm with you. The GM's first for me. And the thing is, we say to ourselves, like, oh, why haven't they done more? Well, I mean, they drafted Dalton Kincaid in the first round. They drafted Keon Coleman in the second round. I mean, they threw $36 million on Josh Palmer. Where's that money? It's just I think with a guy like that, and it's not like you haven't had opportunities. Like, go out and get Devontae Adams. He was available. right?
Yep.
These guys have been available. Jacoby Myers, you could have just traded for Jacoby Myers, right? Like, go out and get these guys. So I think he's got to go. The
Yep.
unfortunate side of the McDermott thing is that if you want a good offensive coach, the only way to get it these days is to make a really good coordinator your head coach, right?
That's right.
So the team that gets Clint Kubiak, right, is going to have to make him the head coach, I think.
Yeah.
So if that's what you want to do, if you want to bring in, a good core, like if you think that Joe Brady's got to go, the answer isn't hiring a new coordinator under McDermott. I think the answer might have to be fire the coach to get the best of the best. So it could be a lot of moving parts, but I think Brandon Beane has just not impressed me lately. He just hasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because sometimes, you wonder how much like the owners are either meddling or saying, "Hey, I want Josh Palmer." And you're like, "You
Right.
sure?" Or if they're like, "Give me Devontae Adams." You're like, "I think I know better. Josh Palmer's the guy here."
Well, there are teams like that
Right? I don't
because
know.
the Saints exist. Like,
Right.
how has Mickey Loomis not been fired? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, that there's a friendship between the owners and the GM, and it's
Absolutely.
like, we just trust this guy, even though he's probably bottom three at his job. It's just, that goes on. You're right. There's a lot of dude. It's tough to deal with, like, because these are your coworkers and then they become family and stuff. And it's tough to be like, hey, you know what? You got to go. Like, not everybody's going to be Jonathan Kraft and Robert Kraft about it.
Right.
So
No,
it's,
absolutely
you
not.
got to be ruthless.
And you're right. I mean, Clint Kubiak is sort of the prize of all this, as I forget his lineage where he was each way, step of the way, but like everywhere he's been, it's been like,
Yeah.
see,
Well,
you know,
he's got the probably the best pedigree of any
yeah,
coach there's ever been, right? He's the son, his father, obviously, super famous, right?
yes,
And then he worked under Shanahan. That's where he came from. He wasn't always Shanahan, but the thing is he took Rick Dennison with him, this like offensive line guru type guy that just kind of fixes up all lines. But then he kind of picked up the fullback stuff and all that with Shanahan, and now he's kind of just rolling, man. I mean, the Saints last year, before everyone got hurt, Eric McCoy got hurt the third week, and that's when the wheels started falling off. The first 2 weeks, they were lighting it up. Now he's taking the Seahawks offense, implemented the fullback doing that stuff. So I think that, like, for me,
yeah,
he's one of my top candidates, but he's not the only one. I mean, there's a bunch of guys out there, uh, but you're not going to get them to leave to be an OC. I don't think.
right. No,
This isn't college.
that's right. That's right. No, no doubt. Well, let's dive in a little bit to where you were last night, because I saw the picture you posted on Twitter, and it looked like hit. The hit on Jackson
Yeah,
Dart was right in front of you, which, that was one hit. And then he made another hit, Ellis did, on Gunnar Olszewski, which was brutal to watch, quite frankly. I was watching with my
yeah.
son, and I was like, holy shit, like we might have just watched a guy die on live
I
TV.
was,
It
yeah.
was that bad. I mean, guy was just, he was out cold on his feet. He fumbled because he dropped the ball because he was unconscious, not because the ball was lodged free. His brain was lodged free and the
Yeah.
ball was dropped involuntarily. It was brutal to watch. The kid was walking off the sideline and like did not look good. Everything about that is rough, but I think that was more of a statement from the Pats.
Yeah.
They were out there laying the lumber all over the place. I mean, there was a lot of big hits. They knocked out Tracy in the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
There was just a lot of big hits. I think they came to
With
play, and
with
and
that
maybe you
with that
saw that.
with that Gunner one, like,
Yeah,
when he got hit, it was the same thing as always. He got hit, the ball came out, everyone goes, "Ball," but then everyone's looking at Gunner and they're like, "Oh, man," and everything got quiet.
yes,
And then, as always, the one masshole goes, "Welcome back, Gunner."
yeah, right,
And
yeah.
then, of course, it was just,
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
"What
There's always going to be a guy, but
please." There's always
yeah,
that guy,
yeah,
"Gunner,"
yeah,
right? Like, but it's just it was a statement game. Here's the thing. Because of my job, I have a show 6 to 8 every Thursday. I
yeah,
can't go to Thursday games. I gotta work on Sunday. You've probably done the same thing I've done, where you go to a 1 o'clock game. I haven't gone to one in like 5 years because I go to that game and I miss 8 games,
right. It's
and
true.
then
You
my
miss everything. Yep,
whole week is set back.
yep.
Yeah.
You do miss
So
everything.
I can go to Monday home games or even away games. So we were like, you know what, we're going. And we had, 50-yard line, 20 rows up. So yeah, we had the prime angle on that Jackson Dart hit, dude. And Theo Johnson with his, you know what? I don't even blame Theo Johnson.
Me neither.
Defend your quarterback. You got to
Yep,
defend your quarterback. Take that
yep.
penalty. That's a character thing.
Yep.
It's a tough. It completely negated the run itself.
Yep.
Jackson Dart, I will say this: somebody's got to get in that kid's ear and be like, "Stop," because your team's eliminated. You've already been in the blue tent like 17 times. Like, this is the time for you to craft your game as a passer. And if you go back to last year, Jax, people they asked Alex Van Pelt, the Patriots offensive coordinator last year. They said, "Why aren't you calling more designed runs for Drake Maye?" He actually last year only had like 5 designed runs, and 2 of them were QB sneaks.
Right.
And he said, and you know what Van Pelt said? He said, "We got 3 wins. We
Right.
got 3 wins. What do you want to do?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything May did last year was scrambling. So you
Yeah.
tell Dart, "We're not going to call design runs," which they called them again last night. You say, "We're not going to call design runs. We're going to develop you as a passer. If you're going to scramble, then scramble, but slide."
Yeah. Get
Like,
down.
it's not that hard, but you saw the
Yep.
game last night. Dude, he was staying in the pocket, getting twisted up like Romo used to always do, getting popped on the sideline for no reason, like,
So I think
crazy.
what you have to do is that you really have to create a rule book for him, because there's certain quarterbacks who I think obey this rule, which is they slide every single time. The only time they don't slide is when it's a game sort of on the
Yes.
line type of play where you can actually convert a first down, and they'll dive, or they'll try and create some contact, and then use that momentum to get themselves a first down. Like, they try not to still take big hits, but they only put themselves in that harm's way when it's a play that actually matters, and they can convert on a third or fourth down. That's it. Even on second downs, they're not putting that. They're just going to slide short if they have to. Those are the
It
rules.
should be that way, and you know
But
what?
those are the
It's
rules. And if you break the rule, maybe the punishment is you're coming out of the game. I mean, because he doesn't want that.
right. Just come out, he breaks the rules, gets
I
popped,
guess so. Yeah.
you throw him in the blue tent, and you just say you're done, dude.
Yeah, you're
Like,
done.
they got other guys. Jameis was out there being super weird on the sideline the whole game.
I bet.
He is available. I don't think we were watching Jameis and Russ, totally different. At one
Oof.
point, Jameis was going out onto the field during every special teams huddle. He's like in the special teams huddle
I
before the
believe it.
kickoff. I don't know what he's saying to these guys. At one point he was just punching people, like, And then on the other hand, Russell Wilson, I we were kind of keeping an eye on him. I think he only spoke to one other person during the entire 2 other people actually. He talked to Jameis because Jameis, you can't get away from him. And then he
Right.
talked to this one other trainer that was not the QB coach at some point. Like,
Yeah, I think the
he's
Russell
just hanging
Wilson
out.
career has got to be over. Let's talk about the Patriots. The Patriots is what I want to talk about. I think this is, when it comes to, um, you know, they've got this 1 seed. Put it this way: are there any teams that you think could pack it in by week 17? I don't know that there is at all, really. I mean, by week 18 maybe, but week 17, where we're playing for money in fantasy leagues, do you think there's any teams that could be packing it in?
Yeah, there's so many really close. You're talking about as a team that's winning. That's just like, look, we're
Or
good or
or I
losing.
suppose
Yeah. So,
losing, but losing sometimes it's a
but
little bit different. I don't think starters wanna come out in week 17 because they're playing
no
for contracts and money and
incentives
numbers
and
and
stuff.
stats, etcetera, right? Is
We have seen. We have seen. So yeah, the Patriots, if they beat the Bills, they lock up the division in
right.
the next matchup because they have the tiebreaker there. But like, I don't.
Yes.
The 1 seed is what you really need, and that's usually not settled by then.
By
Uh,
17, right? Maybe
yeah.
18, but not 17, right?
The problem we've seen from these bad teams isn't necessarily packing it in, but we've seen them do live tryouts,
Yeah.
right? The year that the Dolphins were tanking for Tua, they
Yes.
were just every week they'd put out, like, you'd be like, "What the heck? Why did Isaiah Ford just play 70 snaps?"
Yeah.
And then he gets released the following week, and then
Right.
Preston Williams gets, you know what I mean? Like, so we've seen teams be like, "You know what? It's time to see what we got in these other guys." And that's where, in most cases, we're not really banking on these guys, but like, the Raiders have a ton of rookies. What if they start throwing out Dante Thornton and Jack Besh and these guys? It's like, that's where I start trusting these guys less and less. Especially, the Browns do. Luckily, they've already opened up those doors. But the Browns every year would come out and open up the clown car of quarterbacks, and it's like, you get one game of Bailey Zappi, one game of Dorian Thompson Robinson, one game of Deshaun Kaiser, and like, they're hopefully are done with that, and it's Shadur rest away. But that's why I was kind of fading Browns players, because like, you get Flacco, then you get Pickett, then you get whoever. Like, it was just, that was always a team that had that threat of doing that. So you got
Right.
to be very careful with some of these teams that are done. They'll shut down guys that are, banged up. The Cardinals have seen the Cardinals do it with James Conner, where like he got the day they got eliminated, he played only like half the game. You do have to be very careful. It's a little early to try and predict that now, but be very careful with last place teams. You just
Yeah,
got it.
there's not a ton of fantasy fodder on these last place teams. I mean, I think there's a couple of players like Brees Hall's a little bit, you know, he's been a little bit spotty anyway. So I mean, we're not necessarily banking on him to be, alpha, but I guess I'm looking at, look, if New England wins, Denver loses, I guess it could be that they could get themselves like into a situation where they're 2 games up or something. I don't know.
That's the one.
I'm trying to think if there's any other spot where it could happen. Really, in the NFC, it's so muddled together. Like you look at, it's crazy. The number 1 seed is at 9-3. The last wild card team is 9-4. Like, whoa,
Right. Yeah,
that's
like
crazy.
the number 1 seed, like, the Bears are the number 1 seed, but the every team in the NFC West could either win the entire conference or come in 3rd in their own division,
Right?
right?
It's
Like,
nuts.
those teams all have 9 wins. Yeah, so they could be 1 or they could be playing, a
On
tough
the
matchup
road in week
on the
1, right?
road. Yeah, on the
Yes,
road, wild card weekend,
or
yeah.
out. I mean, I suppose it's
It could
possible here.
it is
You know,
possible though
yeah,
because like, you can't sleep on teams that have 7 wins like the Panthers and the Lions. Like, it's not crazy
it's not
for
crazy.
one of those teams to end up out because if you end up 9-8 or whatever, you would be out.
That would be
So,
definitely out. I think there you got to get to 11. I think is what you need in the NFC. I keep saying the West because it's like whatever. It's like
right. It's because
Eastern
somebody has to
Conference.
win the South,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Someone. Yeah. It's crazy. All right. So let's go to Denver. Denver's winning streak is getting criticized a bit, but I think a win is a win is a win, and the winningest quarterback from that draft class, the Caleb, Drake Maye, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Penix, has been Bo Nix. Most wins out of that draft class thus far, and they get it done every week. Thoughts about that, and then I really want to hear your thoughts about the wide receivers, and if you think there's something happening there, a change, or if you just think it was game script.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, like, I've come to terms with this idea. We've seen enough of these, like, good teams, and especially great quarterbacks. Not saying that Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I'm not sure if I think he's a good quarterback,
Yeah,
and I
he's
think that
good.
the coach is good. And
Yep,
we've seen a lot of these coaches and teams just play to win the games. We saw it with the Patriots for a long time. We saw it with the Chiefs last year. And last year at this time, we had the same criticisms of the Chief. We're like, dude, this team is winning these garbage games. They're never scoring 30 points. They're eking them out the last minute. And you know what? That team went to the Super Bowl,
right,
because they're a good team and they have a good defense, right? It's like you don't have to destroy every team. You don't have to go full Dan Campbell and like just rip everyone's faces off and go for it on every 4th down until all your whole team is hurt. Like that, you don't have to do that. Like sometimes you can just coast in and make sure you win the game and do the right things. And I think I'm not going to criticize the Panthers, so the Broncos for the way they're playing because they're good
I
and they
agree.
have. If they had a worse defense, they probably would be scoring more points per game.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
You know,
There was a little bit of people who were panicking about Troy Franklin and his sort of, role this past week versus Pat Bryant. I'm not. I do think there's a bit of that Denver and, Peyton, Sean Payton's reluctance to kind of do the same thing every week. But that's kind of what the whole point is like
right?
they're trying to win football games, not trying to like placate one receiver or the other. Pat Bryant's the better blocking, receiver.
Yeah,
So he's in there a little bit more when they're trying to run the football against a team that gives up the run. So, I think there's just sort of that game script and game plan dependent stuff. And, I think, Troy Franklin leads the team in targets. Him and Sutton both have 5 touchdowns. And, I think for the most part, those are your 2 leading receivers. But obviously, Ingram and Pat Bryant have something to say about that every now and again. And in this game, it was a bit, spread along. And, I think that's what we're going to see. It's hard to depend upon these guys, I guess, going forward. Even Sutton, who feels like the alpha
right.
there, I have a few teams where like I even have a few teams where I have both of them. I don't know to play them both, play one or the other, play neither. I'm like legitimately always wondering what to do with Sutton and Franklin on a weekly basis, I guess is what I'm
Right.
asking, what your thoughts
Well,
are.
moving forward. I am just going to have Sutton ahead because I do worry a little bit with the Franklin situation because I went back to dig through the numbers and even watch. I went and watched the game again. And I watched a bunch of the film, like just kind of pulled it up on the NFL Pro and just kind of
Yeah.
typed in certain parameters to make sure I got a good. Because again, one game is not enough, but I went and put in some parameters to see some plays of these guys. And there's no question that Pat Bryant is the better blocker.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
statistically, even though Troy Franklin's played over 150 more snaps, Pat Bryant's actually played more run snaps.
Right.
And just this past week, I mean, Troy Franklin, he was only on the field for 2 actual designed run plays. He was on the field for 4 run plays, but 2 were scrambles by Knicks. Of the 2 he was on, one of them, he missed his block and his man made the play.
Yeah.
So I do worry that maybe they're looking at it and saying, hey, moving forward, it's going to be Sutton and it's going to be Bryant. And then on obvious pass plays, we're going to bring in Franklin, which is what
Yeah.
a lot of teams do. I mean, that's Josh Downs' role, right?
Yeah.
I know Franklin's going to play outside
Yeah.
and Downs plays slot, but Josh Downs, that's what happens with him. He's
Yeah.
not as good of he's not as big, he's not as good of a blocker as Pierce and Pittman, and that factors in. So
Yep.
I do worry a little bit. It's enough for me. I'm not going to rank Pat Bryant ahead of
No.
Troy Franklin right now. I'm trying to throw him on benches for 1 week. He's like the last stash that you can
Yeah.
throw on a bench and say, let's just see one more game.
Yeah.
Although I was shocked that more people haven't picked up Jaden Higgins. Jaden Higgins is a guy I've been saying, well, what are we doing? I mean, the guy's getting all these targets. He's catching them all. He's scoring touchdowns. Like he's the last. Those are the last kind of guys to try and stash and say, hey, you know what? Maybe they get a bigger role at the end. But we got one more week before playoffs.
Yeah,
And
it's
in playoffs, I'm
it's
only starting guys I
dynasty
trust.
dynasty Jaden Higgins by for sure. I
Love
mean,
that, dude.
he's gonna
Yeah.
be it's gonna be
People
him
are
and
out.
Nico
People
next
don't
year for
get
sure.
it. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of noise. Why is he 34? Last week, once like the week last week, he went out and went off, right? And got 9 targets, scored a touchdown again. He had another touch. He has had 3 touchdowns over 6 weeks. One, he should have had 4, but got tackled like the 1-inch line. It got knocked out of bounds. And this guy, I mean, he's clearly the other guy opposite of Nico Collins. I was shocked that he's still right now available he's only rostered in 34% of leagues on Yahoo.
Yeah.
People giving up. Like there are enough teams that are just, I just don't understand why you wouldn't pick up guys like that. And Pat Bryant, I'll add him too, but I'll still rank Sutton, Franklin ahead of him just because of the bigger sample size.
For sure. And I'll do this sometimes. I'm watching football with other people and it's like a Dallas game or something and CD Lamb will just trot off the field and I'm like, I think they're going to run it here. And they're like, how did you know they were going to run? Or it's
Right.
just like they do this, coaches, that is, with even the very best receivers. It'll be like, hey, take a breather. Not saying that Troy Franklin's in that category, but to say that that's not unusual, it's very normal. As a matter of fact,
Right.
it's kind of a tell a little bit, obviously, with Denver now is going to be like, the Troy Franklin on off, the Pat Bryant on off is whether they're running or passing. That's a little bit of an issue for them in one way or the other, but it is what it is.
There are a ton of there's a ton of that where I mean the Bill Belichick actually came out and said that they used that against the Rams, the last Rams Super Bowl. They knew that when Tyler Higbee was in the game, they would run the ball 70% of the time, and when Gerald Everett came in the game, they would pass the ball like 70% of the time. It was like they knew the rotation of the tight ends
Right.
was giving things away. And you see that with some of these guys like Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz has had a couple games where mid-season where he played 36 snaps and 33 of them were pass plays.
Right.
So you're right. I
Exactly.
mean,
Right.
like
Right.
if we're seeing those trends, they're seeing those trends. So you
Absolutely.
got to be very careful. And that's one of the things that is a pro statement for Pat Bryant.
Yeah.
Because if you make Pat Bryant the full-time wide receiver like they did this past week, then it doesn't give that element away.
Right. Doesn't
And I
tip the
think
hand.
maybe
That's right.
yeah, not to mention, hey, sometimes coming out of the bye, we've seen a lot of rookies get a little bump coming out of the bye. So maybe that's part of it too. That's why it's like these are the kind of guys I want to stash and redraft. In Dynasty, they're all rostered, but you can feel a bit better about yourself because even if like in Dynasty, the path for Pat Bryant is now to take over for Cortland Sutton.
Yes.
And it could be Sutton as Bryant as a split end and Troy Franklin as the flanker, and then everybody lives happily ever after. It doesn't matter in Dynasty.
Right. That's right. Okay. So we got a hell of a Thursday night game. I don't know. Hopefully this will drop before. I think it's going to drop Thursday. We usually take a day, but anyway, this Dallas Detroit game is like kind of a mini playoff game because I can't envision either of these teams losing this game and then making the playoffs. That's going to be a really tough path, I would say, for either one of them. And even winning the game doesn't necessarily get them in or anything, but it's certainly close to a loser leave town matchup. And it's so awesome. I mean, it's visually pleasing. Both these teams have so much to look at, right? You know, there's so much excitement on both sides of the ball. I can't wait for this game. You could speak to that a little bit just because
it's
I'm
perfect.
so
Hey,
geeked.
I'll add one more. I'll add one
Yeah.
more great caveat to it, right? Thursday night games usually stink because of the short week, but
Yeah.
both these teams played on Thanksgiving, which means they're getting a full week, right? It's like the Sunday to Sunday, Thursday to Thursday. So it's not even no team is on a short week either.
Right. Good point.
NFL schedule makers, man, the Amazon cloud, whatever. I don't know how they're doing it. I know that there's definitely some about that cloud analysis involved, but the schedule I think this year has been great.
Yeah.
They've done such a good job. Are you going all the way through of balancing the number of games that are available on Sunday, right? No bye weeks this week, so you still had a full slate on Sunday. When they have the international games, sometimes they have less bye weeks, so that there's still a full slate of games. I mean, like, kudos to them that whatever they're doing, I like it. I, for one, welcome our robot overlords. And when it comes to making the schedule, at least when it comes to making the schedule, the product, the schedule product has actually been good. So
The robot overlords.
do it.
Yeah.
Make it every year because this is good. And this is, the over under is what for this game? I think it opened at like 54.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot. I don't know how much it is. I'm
I,
gonna look.
it opened at like I checked the open. It was
Yeah,
like
54
54.
and a half.
The spread was like 2.5 in
Yeah.
favor of the Lions. But
Yep.
the Lions maybe without Amon-Ra, so who knows? But
I think they
this
are
is
going
a
to be with
game.
Amon-Ra. Let's get there, but first, the Cowboys. Gosh, I mean, we kind of want both these teams to win so that they're continuously playing for something. Because both these teams have so much fantasy goodness all over the place. We'll start with Dallas. Dallas now looks like they're all the way there with what they wanted to be sort of coming out of the box. The defense is starting to play a little bit better, or at least well enough to stop their opponent once in a while to give the offense an opportunity to convert and win. They've done that now 2 weeks in a row against the Chiefs and the Eagles. How confident are you that the Cowboys can make it 3 in a row going into Detroit and keep this train rolling? And so we can keep getting more George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, and Dak Prescott, and Javonte Williams. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's the thing about these two teams. They can win any game. Like, I would
Yes.
never count the Cowboys out just because of the firepower. And Dak, I mean, he's willing to throw it into tight windows and make crazy things happen. And yeah, George Pickens is such a cartoon. He is
Yes.
so fun to watch, man. It's like
Yes.
I haven't seen anybody that loose with protecting the football since LaShawn McCoy. But I mean, the thing is, McCoy would never fumble, but he would just hold it like a bread. He would do like ball fakes like this, like
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it's just, and you see Pickens, like he gets that ball in his hand and he's just looking. He's looking at the end zone. You know what I mean? He's not even. He's just like, how do I get there? Do I have to hurdle this guy? Do I have to do a front flip? Do I have to do a spin? Like those guys are so fun to watch.
Shall I punch him?
Shall I punch him? Yeah, Jerry's like Mike Tomlin doesn't like your attitude that you're being a maniac and a diva. Well, guess what? We got a home for
We
you
love
right
it
here
in
in Dallas.
Dallas. I
We
love
love that here in Dallas. Unless you're Micah Parsons, then you gotta go. But
Dude,
everybody else is allowed to do
I'm
whatever
such a
they want.
big fan of Pickens. Ever since he was standing watching the draft with his stupid neck and everything, and like the hood thing, like that really got me. I was
That's
like,
him
this
to a
guy's
T, man.
I love this guy. I've always loved
Yeah.
him as a prospect coming out and all the rest of it. Like, I said last week, before he got hurt in college, he was the 101. Like he was the guy. So his pedigree runs deep. He's a really, really skilled player, and people are starting to see that now. I think they kind of missed that. It was more situation than player in his previous stop in Pittsburgh. Obviously, we talked about it last week. Coaching, quarterback play, everything. You name it. Weather. I mean, right? I mean, even just playing in the outside. Now they're in the friendly confines of a dome more often, of course, or better. Like a dome. It's
For
a
sure.
dome, isn't it? With the sun comes through. That's the worst part of the weather they got there. They can't fix that. But the Cowboys have in week 16 and 17. So if you've already advanced, or you're going to advance. If you're a week one bye in the playoffs, you're just circling home against the Chargers, at the Commanders, and going, whew, that sounds so good. So I really just want them to, I guess, be in it, which they are. They're going to need to win those games. They're going to want to win those games. The Eagles probably won't just run away with it. Even if they lose this week and then they beat the Vikings, which,
right.
I mean, who doesn't beat the Vikings? It's just going to be
Does
good
any
with this team.
team, as a side note, does any team, even amongst the losing teams, is there any team that has the worst vibes right now than the Eagles? It is just bad vibe city over there, man. It is.
Yes. Yeah, they were booing them, right?
I mean, yeah, the Santa left early. It was a mess that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And that's one where we know who is going to get the axe if it comes down to it, because Howie Roseman's been incredible.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think Howie Roseman's probably more safe than Jalen Hurts is, and Jalen Hurts is absolutely safe. So Nick Sirianni's the one that's on the hot seat, no question, right? Because
no doubt.
You're not gonna move on from Hurts. Roseman's been, who's better if you had to pick a GM today, Howie Roseman or Les Snead?
I mean, it's hard to beat Howie. I mean, I'll take Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel?
No, well, I'm half teasing. I'm just being a homer, but
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I was hearing Ty Law talk about it. They were like, who would you rather keep, Mike Vrabel or Drake Maye? And he was like, ooh, tough question. And then he was like, Mike Vrabel, it's like, yes,
I mean, it's tough,
just against all odds. He's just like, going against the quarterback of the future is so good.
I don't have it here with me, but I was rocking my Ty Law jersey last night.
Nice. There we go. There you go. So yeah. Ty Law is just an OG. So, and then when it comes to Detroit could fall out of this thing. Dan Campbell, I don't think he's going to rest anybody ever, not once. So I'm not worried about them. Even if they fall out of it, they're going to try and play spoiler. They've done that before. They're going to come out and try and play as hard as they can to win every single game. So I'm not too worried about it. Although you could see maybe a few less touches for like a Jahmyr Gibbs, where they'll kind of lean away from just riding him. But they also are a team that just Amon-Ra is the question I have. It sounds like he's a week or two away, which is a bit scary. Would you be moving off Amon-Ra if you could sort of make a value trade away from Amon-Ra, maybe to a CD Lamb or something like that? If you could in Dynasty?
I mean, in Dynasty, I would always trade Amon-Ra for CD Lamb. I just think CD Lamb's so special. But it's the rare low ankle sprain. I thought those were extinct. You never hear, I feel like, right? You only hear about the high ankle sprains. You never hear about the low ankle sprains. I think he's going to be fine. I mean, he even said that, he came out and said, like, if he wants to play, right? And it's such a big game that I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Yeah.
But the low ankle sprains, you really just you treat them with tape. You know what I mean?
Pain, right? That's all it is.
Yep. I mean, I played through some purple feet. I used to have problems with the ankle sprains back in the day, and like, I think this guy's going to find a way to go. I really do. And for fantasy, I mean, it's kind of a mess if he doesn't, because you got like Khalif Raymond's also hurt, but he would probably have been the guy that we would be looking at. But then they got Isaac Tisla, who's the young up and comer, but he doesn't play a ton of slot. And then you got Tom Kennedy, who this week went in and played a ton of slot.
Yep.
Guy looks like a pen salesman, but I mean,
yeah, he does.
Like, it
sell me this pen.
Doesn't look like a ball player, but he was playing some ball and actually looked okay. So like, it really isn't it's not a very clear cut situation that I hate that. So I would love for Amon-Ra to play. Just looking at the NFC, if I could just choose which teams to make it, I don't even know which 7 I would choose. I feel like we're leaving out too many exciting teams, because we want the Cowboys in.
We do. Maybe the Cowboys can beat the Eagles. That would be
great. Pure. You know what? I'd be great with the Eagles being out. So Cowboys won. I want all the NFC West teams in. Yes. I want the Rams and Seattle. I could do without the 49ers, I guess. But like, they deserve to be in, though. They deserve to be in.
They're the Patriots West, because they also had they had an easier schedule by the numbers than even the Pats.
Yeah, but Shanahan's a good coach. Yep. I trust him to win any game, and McCaffrey's a lot of fun. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 makes the Cowboys. That gives us only three other teams. You have to put an NFC team in. I don't care who it is. So that's 5. So if you could put 2 of these teams in, Bears, Packers, Lions, who would you pick? if you got the chance to choose.
Bears, Packers, Lions for
You
sure.
want them in, yeah.
Yeah, I want the Lions in, and then
Packers are kind of the way they play football is not aesthetically pleasing.
yeah, I was gonna say the Bears or the Packers. Let them just fight it out to the death, and whichever one comes out of the steel cage can play.
I kind of want the Bears are kind of fun.
Yeah, Bears
They
are fun.
sling it. Caleb Williams is like he does so many things that I love, and then like he keeps his eyes downfield, like Mahomes does. He could run it a lot of the time, but he's looking for the deep ball, which I love to see.
Yeah,
But then he just throws it 100 miles an hour every time, no
yeah,
matter what it is.
yes.
He needs just a little bit of touch on there sometimes. But I mean, Caleb's fun to watch. He's fun to watch. It's disappointing every once in a while when he throws it 10 feet over someone's head, but I don't know.
I,
It's a
I get, I get,
NFC is weird.
I
You
get
should get one
so
veto.
I just get so with Caleb. It's so up and down. Like as
Right.
just as a dynasty holder, right? If you're holding Caleb, you're like, he's the best, and then oh my god, I gotta get rid of him immediately, and then he's the best of all time, and so
Yeah.
there's those ups and downs you get with Caleb. They're just unlike almost any other player I can think of. I really can't think of. Can you think of a player that gives you? Someone told me it was like year two Trevor Lawrence, which
Trevor
was
Lawrence,
kind of
yes.
true, right?
Yes. Because
Although
Trevor
now
Lawrence,
it's all down. It's
I
all,
still think that in turn, like Trevor Lawrence, maybe the best I've ever seen at this one thing, which is rolling to his left and then throwing it. Like he can torque, it's like you torque the hips and then you chuck it while you're rolling to your left. Man, he can uncork it, which right-handed quarterbacks rolling to your left, like no one's good at that. No
no,
one's That's the difference between some like everyone thinks, oh yeah, I got a cannon arm because you're in the backyard and you're just standing there and you're chucking it. Run to your left and then try throwing it. Then you'll
it's not
see if
easy.
you're quarterback or not. You know what I mean? Like in this, I mean, he can do that. I mean, Caleb is like that. If I could pass one note to Caleb Williams, it would be a quote from Kurt Warner, where Kurt Warner said, "In my entire career, I probably only threw the ball as hard as I could about 5 times."
Right?
And
Yeah.
he said, "There's a difference between getting the ball there efficiently and throwing it as hard as you can." And I
Well,
think
we're seeing a
that's
lot of that. We're seeing a lot of that with Drake May. It's unbelievable. Like there's so
very
many
efficient.
times it's
Exactly.
like, oh, it's just feathery, man.
Yeah, and
Oh, so
you would
nice.
see it with Peyton Manning towards the end of his career, where you'd look at a pass and you'd be like, "That's junk," but then you'd realize it's because he was catching a shotgun snap and just he knew the ball, he knew the play was going to be open, and he was just getting it there,
Yeah.
and he was getting there efficiently rather than taking the time to find the laces and throw a laser. It's like I think that's something that Caleb's missing, where it's like get the ball there efficiently, but you don't have to throw it through Colston Loveland's chest from 5 feet away.
Yeah.
You don't have to like ramp up this big long throw. Just throw it right and throw a catchable pass. Drake May incredibly catchable passes.
Yeah.
The pass to Kyle Williams this
So nice.
Monday. I
Yeah.
mean, it was you could have pushed a shopping cart and he
Yeah.
would have landed it in there.
Yeah.
It's like the catch was already made. And it's
Yes.
like that's what some of these guys are missing. And the thing in Dynasty though with me is I would rather have those guys over so many other guys because that's something you can learn. You can learn to take a little bit off the ball. Whereas once Chad Pennington hurt his shoulder, he was never going to learn to throw it 65 miles an hour again. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you can't teach a guy to throw it 100 miles an hour, but you can teach him that he doesn't have to always throw it 100 miles an hour. And
The,
that's
the
why I want those guys.
the Chad Pennington pull's pretty solid. I lost. I played quarterback in high school. I took one of the worst hits of all time of my career, rolling left and throwing because I turned and didn't realize there was a behemoth
Oh,
chasing me
yeah.
from behind, and I kept twisting, and I woke up in the back of an ambulance. So yes, running left and
Dangerous. It
throwing
takes
is
a while. Yeah, the motion
yeah
takes so
because you turn
long.
your body back around, and then all of a
Torque,
sudden, yeah,
it's actually all in the that's a throw is entirely in the torso.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's not an easy throw. You're absolutely right
I
about
hope
that.
I hope at least one of your listeners is gonna go out in the backyard
And
and
go through,
roll to their left. Send me a video at Coupe
throw it into a
Fiasco.
bucket or through a tire. Go for it.
Tire swing.
Yeah,
I want the
yeah.
tire. I want you throwing it through rolling to your left and try and throw it like that. I want to see because
Who that?
That'll
If you
let you
have a
know whether
tire
you.
swing, you have to do this. Like if you
Oh, you
have a
have to,
tire swing, you have to at Coop and
please.
throw it. Yeah, of course. There's no doubt about that. Welcome back to the program. Andrew Cooper in tow. And I'm telling you right now, this show is not going to be the longest show we ever do, but it could be. We could go
Yeah.
for hours. I swear to God, usually the ad break is like 15 minutes in. That was just like 30, 40 minutes in. I'm so sorry. It's
It's so
unbelievable. We
funny.
just get
I just wish
rolling.
people could hear us like before the show where you're like, "Yep." I'm like, "I'm busy, man." You're like, "Oh, I'm so busy." And then we're like, "Oh, it's gonna be in and out, airtight, bing
Airtight.
boom, no problem,
45
dude."
minutes.
We didn't even talk much before the show like we always do, and then here we are. I don't even know how long it's been. We talked about 2 games. We've already challenged people to throw through a tire swing.
Yes, throw it through the tire swing. That's what must happen. We must see it. Rolling left, throwing right. Good luck.
Yeah,
Tampa Bay. Oh my God. Tampa Bay is well. There's the team that like could actually have it all sewn up because of their division. Potentially, although Carolina with a big win against the Rams, kind of making that thing hold a little bit. But Tampa Bay has such a great schedule. Week 16, 17. Um, they do play those Panthers on the road, then at the Dolphins. So even 15. And this week, they get the Saints at home, the Falcons at home. I mean, this is it. Tampa Bay with the schedule. Saints at home, Falcons at home, at Panthers, at Dolphins. And they play the Panthers in week 18. So I'm going to recant my earlier statement. They're going to be playing for it because
yeah.
they don't know what the hell's going to be going on, because if they lose those 2 Panther games, they're out of it. So yeah, absolutely, they're going to be playing with everything they've got. They're going to get some weapons back. Maybe even Mike Evans coming back. I'm not so sure about that. Do you know anything about the Mike Evans situation and the weapons here in Tampa Bay?
I'll tell you, and some of these teams are punching back a little bit, which makes for fantasy a little bit better. You know, it's like the
Yes,
Panthers are now a team that they have now beat some serious teams, right? They beat the Packers, they beat the Cowboys, they just beat the
the
Rams. I
Rams.
mean, like
Yeah,
they can punch back. So can the Falcons a little bit. So that should be good. I'm hearing Mike Evans wants to play.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And we heard it from Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was like, I don't care if we have 1 win. Like I'm a football player, and if I'm healthy, I'm gonna play football. So he wants to play. And the thing is, what we do, we always do this. Everyone comes up with their own. I'm hearing Jalen McMillan is going to get back to practice and actually might play,
might
like
play.
with off a broken neck. What we do is we all go out and we paint these beautiful pictures, right? And we'll say to ourselves, okay, well, this will be good for Emeka Egbuka, and that's the red picture, and we'll say Chris Godwin's heating up and he's going to be awesome, and that's the blue picture, and then we're out here saying Mike Evans is going to come back and he's Mike Evans, and that's the green picture, and everybody's like kind of painting what they want to see, and at the end, what you get is you just get Brown. Like you just get, you get Marvin Harrison Jr. coming back, and Michael Wilson doesn't quite go back in the bottle, but now the ball spread out too much. Like we could very well just get a situation where these guys all come back and everybody gets 4 to 6 targets. Kate Otten gets a couple. McMillan's out there doing his thing. Sterling Shepard, for some reason, scores the touchdown. Like it's just we want highly consolidated offenses. That's why I root against Arthur Smith actively, because I hate his offense for fantasy, and I want everybody to be from the Sean McVay coaching tree. I want everybody to come out and just use the same 3 guys every play. So I don't like when these teams. I didn't want the Buccaneers to draft Emeka Egbuka. It
Right.
was a great pick by them. They have 2 Godwins now, but like I didn't want them to do that. I wanted them to just keep using the same 2 guys every play, because that's what was best for me personally.
Right.
So, hey, of course that's my favorite team is my fantasy teams. My second favorite is the Patriots. My third favorite is whoever's playing the Jets. And that's how it's always going to be for me. So I want to root for my guys, and I don't want all these guys, So like it could make it ugly.
Yeah.
It could make it ugly. I think the best case for fantasy would be Mike Evans just stays away, and Ibuka and Godwin can just be the top 2 guys.
Yeah.
That would be best case.
I'm dubious about McMillan, and I mean he had fractures in his neck and vertebrae.
Yeah,
Like
I know.
that's
I can't
scary.
believe they haven't activated him, but they
No,
say he's going to practice.
Yeah.
And then like everybody else, they'll have until Saturday to open it's like,
I
look,
mean,
the
look,
deadline's Saturday at 4 to activate guys from the IR. So like they're very lenient with the IR stuff, with the
I just
Saturday 4 o'clock deadline.
that sounds ominous. Broken vertebrae in your
No,
neck. You know,
I would go ahead and not play football for a little
it
while till
seems
next year.
like that. I mean, I'm pulling for this guy as much as possible. Here's the thing: is like I have a trade that I'm trying to make, and I'll give you the trade just to give you the idea as to whether or not what we believe in for Jalen McMillan. If you told me he was 100% healthy, this trade would already be done. But I'm a rebuilding team in Dynasty, and I've got Jacoby Myers on the block. I trade Jacoby Myers for Jalen McMillan and Dylan Sampson. What do you think?
Yeah, I do that all day long. What for me, the thing, and this is something that people gotta understand. Again, you gotta know your league. If you're in some like giant 16 team league where everyone starts 20 people, it's just like Dynasty Scott Fishbowl or whatever, then sure. Like Jacoby Myers is gonna be a
Yeah,
very, very useful piece.
it is a
But
little deeper league, so I appreciate that.
yes,
That's
that kid
part of why he's valuable. He's
part of
pretty
the
much a
caveat.
starter in the league because of that.
Yes.
But yes, go ahead.
Many leagues, though, are your typical 10 to 12 team league where the teams that win are very top heavy
Yeah,
and the teams that lose are all bad by the nature of the game. And if everyone's playing correctly, then that's how the team should shake out. Like
yes,
if you get to midpoint of the season, you say, okay, I'm going for it. Let's make a deal. You need to come in last. I need to come in first. It's going to be good for everybody. Like if everyone's playing right, that's the way. So for me, Jacoby Myers he's just not a needle mover in the vast majority of formats. Like trying to win your dynasty league with Jacoby Myers in your lineup is dangerous. Like if you thought you could win, you should have been trading for better players. So for me, like I'm looking to do that move. Like if you're panicking, then you trade for Jacoby Myers. If he's going to be in your lineup every week because how deep it is, then trade for Jacoby Myers. Otherwise, give me the dice rolls on Sampson and McMillan
right.
because that's the future. Jacoby Myers is not going to be any more than Jacoby Myers. We know that. McMillan could be a big time player once Evans and Godwin move on. Sampson, I mean, he's looked explosive at times. We don't know what's going to go on with Judkins here. Like, I would take the dice rolls.
Right. Yeah. No, I think
Give me the
that's fair.
dice.
Give me the dice. That's fair. Yes, especially for a rebuilding team. I suppose that makes sense.
Right.
Okay,
But Myers, like again, if you're a competing team and Myers is going to be in your lineup every week, then you do that too, right?
that's
It's
right.
like
That's right.
you got to read the room.
I love Jacoby Myers. He actually was getting targeted pretty heavily from Trevor Lawrence and is the de facto wide receiver one
I know.
over
I
Brian
have a
Thomas
history. I have a
Jr.
history of being very mean to players you like.
Holy
I
smokes.
do. Going back to your sweet baby angel Gabe Davis.
Oh
May
boy,
he
but
may he rest
Gabe was
in peace.
different. You know what's funny
That was
about
different.
that?
You've been so much more right than wrong
Yeah,
with like everything, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just funny that like every once in a while. But you're right. Jacoby Myers for the time being, which means to me in
yeah,
fantasy, the next 4 games is going to be the Chris Godwin to BTJ's Mike Evans.
yeah,
But next year Travis Hunter will be back. So this is like a you better win this year type deal,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No, no doubt. Okay, let's move on to I want to talk about okay, this one you touched on it. You talked about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow coming down the stretch is playing they've got a shot actually. They're actually in playoff contention. This wild AFC North where we're going to talk about Baltimore and whether we can trust them or not in just a moment, but Cincinnati, I feel like they're in this thing. They're actually in this thing. If they can, they pretty much have to run the table, but not against not against all odds here. I think they can do it. Their schedule 15, 16, 17 is amazing. They've got the players, they've got Joe Burrow. What do you think about this Cincinnati team? Even if they fall out, I feel like they're going to still sling it, according to Joe Burrow, saying, "Hey, man, I don't care if we have 0 wins. I'm playing." To your point, I love it. Don't you?
Yeah. The best thing that happened to the Bengals is that to make them not the fools here
Yeah,
is when the in the hunt graphics come up with every team that's still eligible, the Dolphins are on there.
yeah,
So like your brain wants to laugh at the Bengals who are 4-8 and the
right,
Dolphins are 5-7. The Dolphins actually are in the hunt, but you still see the Dolphins on there and you're like, the hunt for what?
right.
Like what are they exactly in the hunt? If the Dolphins win the Super Bowl this year, I'll eat every piece of glass in my house.
Yeah.
How's that for a you know what I mean? Like, that's not happening. But the
Yes.
Bengals, I still believe it's possible. The
Yes.
Bengals, see, this is what I almost said it earlier. I might have briefly said it, but like, this is why we as fans, and this is completely irrational, and it would never ever happen, but like, we deserve a veto. We should be able to put one team in the playoffs and take one team out, because last year Joe
Yep.
Burrow was throwing 3 touchdown passes every
Yes.
damn game, and they didn't make the playoffs because they lost a stupid game to the Patriots week 1 because they weren't ready and guys were holding out. It's like, we should be able to veto and put one team in. And like, the Bengals, if they make the playoffs, they could win because Joe Burrow is that good.
Yeah.
Like, he is awesome. And
Exactly.
Chase is awesome. Higgins is awesome. And like, I've seen I've seen weirder teams win. I've seen terrible. I mean, not terrible, but I've Eli Manning. You know,
You
what
can
was their
call him
record?
terrible.
9-7
You can call
when
him
they made
terrible.
the 9-7 when they made the playoffs. Like, I've seen, you know, Rich Gannon and all these guys. You know, Brad Johnson. Like, you know, it's like, it's possible, but the Dolphins don't have it. The Bengals do. I don't know. I don't know if either of those teams should get in the playoffs.
But the
I don't know. The AFC North is kind of junk. Like,
bingo.
who do you want to make it out of the AFC North? Who do you want to win the AFC North?
That's it. The Dolphins are actually 3 games back at 5-7. The Bengals are actually 2 games back at 4-8 because they're not making the wild card. They've got to win that division. Baltimore's 6-6, Pittsburgh's 6-6, and Cincinnati's 4-8. Look, this is tied to the conversation about both Lamar and Baltimore. Look, Lamar it's clear. He someone had posted how many 20-yard might have been Scott Barrett, how many 20-yard runs he's had this year. I think it's 0. And normally he has like 5 to 10 or something. You know what I mean? Like, he's always breaking off big
Right.
plays. He's not able to do that. It's the eye test shows that too. I mean, you watch,
He's hurt.
he's
He's
hurt.
hurt.
He's hurt. And so, I mean, we can't trust Lamar down the stretch here. Their schedule's not all that good. And the team is just, I mean, it just doesn't feel like they're going to go on some sort of run where they're just, slinging it all over the place. Although he did have 2 touchdowns called back. Well, one was fumbled into the end zone. The other one was kind of a bullshit offensive pass interference, in my opinion. I thought that was kind of bullshit. So he had some plays taken off the field for him, but still that offense is not necessarily ripping it. All that to say that Cincinnati could catch both these teams, because Pittsburgh,
I hope they do.
the answer is not Pittsburgh. That's for
I
freaking
hope
sure.
I don't want them in. I don't want Pittsburgh in. I hate what they're doing.
Yeah.
I get what they're doing. Anytime you get this anytime you get this former tight end coach that takes over, they always do the tight end tinkering bullshit, and I hate it. And they always do it without fail. I mean, Adam Gase and I'm just tired of it. There was now I'm totally spacing on the who he was a coordinator for the Bears, and everybody was just not happy with him. Now I totally forget. And he was when he brought Gerald Everett with him from the he was with the Rams, then the Seahawks, then he brought Gerald Everett. Now I
And
forget.
somehow it's not Dan Campbell. That's not who you're talking
It's
about.
not. No. It's
I'm joking.
Dan Campbell. Yeah, at least he's not tinkering. He's maybe one of the few, but these guys tinker too much.
Crazy.
And Arthur Smith does it. I hate it. I don't want to play a guessing game between Mooney and Johnny and see DK Metcalf getting totally nerfed and see them dumping it down to the running backs over and over. It's not fun to watch. It's
No.
not fun to watch. And
They're
the
not a fun team to watch at all.
yeah, only Arthur Smith and like Bill Belichick want to see you run like Wishbone with 9 tight ends. Like
That's
that,
right.
this isn't Navy, dude. Like,
And be
what?
careful mentioning Bill Belichick's name on this podcast. We could go down a rabbit hole of epic
Yeah,
proportions that would be painful for many, including the listeners and you and I.
it's getting out of control, dude.
It's out of control.
Let's not even go down there, dude,
We
because
can't do it.
we said we were going to keep it tight.
We can't do
We
it.
said
On this
we've
tight
already
end.
gone down a couple rabbit holes. We're
Woo.
keeping the show even close to tight. We can't leave the NFL.
We can't do it. We cannot do it. Although he is technically male, but so I talked about it last week, and I'll just ask it this way: is there a quarterback that you could imagine trading off Lamar, or would you? Or would you just be like if you're a contending team, you've got a really dope roster. Lamar is your QB 1 or 2, obviously, unless you have, Josh or something. So he's basically your QB 1. He's got to be your sort of like moneymaker here down the stretch to win you money in a dynasty league. would you be like, no, I got to get off Lamar? Because, I mean, you can't have him put up 6-7 points and expect to win. So, and if you would trade off him, target, who are you targeting? I've got one I said last week, but I'll leave it for you.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's the thing. You better believe in Lamar as a passer, and I do too,
Right.
for the most part. Because historically speaking, when you pull up the quarterbacks that are age 28 or older to run 100 times in a season,
Yeah.
you know how many guys are on that list?
Not very many, if one, maybe, I think.
Three.
Yeah.
So you got Josh Allen last year.
There you go. Yeah.
You care to throw a guess on who the
I
other ones
think
might
you
be?
did this with me before.
I'll
And
give
I,
you a hint. I'll give you a hint. One of them did it after he went to jail and came out of jail.
Mike Vick, obviously. So,
Okay.
so
The
Mike
other
Vick,
the other one,
Josh
yeah.
Allen, and
Here, let's just give it away. The other one did it for the Patriots
wait.
after playing
Oh, Cam Newton. Yeah.
Cam Newton. So very rare for that to happen. And Lamar Jackson, only 50 carries so far this year. He's not going to do it.
Right.
So you can still be a high-end QB in fantasy football by transitioning to a guy that runs sometimes and throws it really well. So an example would be Russell Wilson. Also, you used to run it 100 times all the time, and then he transitioned into a guy that would run it sometimes, but then was also being very efficient with the ball. And he still had some top 5 seasons in there, right? Or you just got to become an incredible passer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because what we know about this game is that, like, you got to either run it a lot or be capable. You got to run it 85 or more times or be capable of throwing 35 touchdown passes. Like, that's kind of the deal. And we know Lamar is capable of that, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you can move off him I'm just feeling real good about guys like May. I mean, would you move off him right now for Jaden Daniels, knowing that you have multiple more years of rushing for Jaden?
Sure, but if you're trying to win, that's why Jaden Daniels isn't.
He's not the answer. You're right. So
Not
if
the answer.
but it would
This is
probably be
where it gets
Lamar.
a little
Like,
tricky.
it'd be Lamar plus for Drake Maye right now. The other part of it,
Exactly. You'd have to pay up.
the other part that's crazy is that who is buying Lamar? Because
Bingo.
if they're, you know what I mean, like, you got to be in a position where you think you're not competing now, but you think you're going to be competing the next 2 years.
Correct.
And Lamar could have multiple great years. Like, he could
Yes.
have 10 great years left, because if he transitions into a great passer, which he's already led the league in touchdown passes before. He's already been the MVP of the league a couple times. Like, he absolutely could. And he could play for another 10 years.
I
But
think a lot
historically, guys
of
like
his
that don't
passing success, though, a lot of his passing success comes because he's so
stems from the run.
threatening
Yes.
on the ground. Whereas now they're not threatened by him, and I think this is creating a little bit of an issue for him. Again, he had a pretty good passing game this past week, but you get my point here. You don't want him to only
Right.
have to get there via the air. You kind of want it to be like either way, Lamar's getting there this week because he's awesome. And right now, it's like, well, maybe not. He, as a passer, he can definitely come up small, and they can just run it in 2 or 3 times with Henry, even if they have a successful week, if that makes sense.
They got to change the way the team is built if they're going to go that direction.
Yeah.
Because it's built around this whole idea of, like, we're just going to run you. We're going to obfuscate things with monsters like Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, and we'll have one real wide receiver in Zay Flowers, and then we'll let him scramble around and find whoever he finds. And you got to change. You got to change a lot if you're going to change that up. So I don't know. It is. It feels like I spent a while, obviously, as a Patriots fan, 5 years saying, hey, you know what? If the Bills win, that's okay. If the Ravens win, that's okay. Like, I like these guys, and I wouldn't be upset. I don't want the Chiefs to win, doing all that stuff, right? But
Mahomes,
now,
maybe a spot, but I don't know that you can't get Mahomes for him, probably.
right, yeah. It's like now as a Patriots fan, I'm done rooting for the Bills to have success, and I worry that the windows for these teams are getting kind of cloudy. Not closed, but, like,
Correct.
I mean, yeah, it's scary. Yeah, exactly. And that's the hardest thing about fantasy football dynasty trading. It's why I wrote the article, 3 books for the Dynasty Trader, FSWA article of the year, not a big deal. But go ahead and check that one out. And the biggest thing that article talks about is understanding your own roster construction and understanding the motivations of the people in your league. Like, for you to trade someone Lamar Jackson, you got to deeply understand where they are in the cycle of this game, what their motivation would be to even trade for Lamar Jackson. And
Yes.
then you got to come up with a trade that helps your team win now. It's like that the needle that team
Very.
might not even exist in your league. Like
That's right.
there might not be a team in your league that has good players that are all hurt. Like look around and see who's the biggest like
Neighbors and,
neighbor.
Mike
Yeah, find a
Evans and
neighbor exactly. Yeah, find the guy that has neighbors and Evans and those guys, and he thinks
Omarion
he's going to be
Hampton,
right back.
whatever, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you got to do that. Like,
Yeah.
look, Bucky Irving.
Yep.
Some of the things are going to be right back next year and say, hey, you know what? I got to win now. Why don't you go ahead and give me your quarterback? You take Lamar. I'll win this year. You'll win next year. Like, you got to be looking for that because otherwise, everyone's going to know what you're up to.
That's
They're
right.
going to turn around and they're going to say, why am I doing this?
That's right.
You're not going to trade them to a team that you're competing against right now. They're
Right.
not going to give you a better quarterback right now for your worst
Exactly.
quarterback. Why would they ever do that?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's certain downs, like you could be like, okay, I'll go for Dak. It's like, well, Dak and a first for Lamar. I don't really want to do that, even as a Lamar owner. That
No,
doesn't feel so
I would
good,
rather just lose with Lamar almost. But
right?
Dak, the thing is, I'm going to rank Dak over Lamar
Yes.
for the foreseeable future.
You see my point,
Every
right?
week
It's like
until I mean, every week until we get
I was
something.
looking at Herbert. I was
Dude,
looking at
Lamar didn't
Herbert.
do anything. He didn't do anything against the Bengals, man.
No,
Like,
he did though, man. He threw that touchdown pass to Zay. He threw a touchdown pass to Likely. Like I said, there were some points taken off the board. All that being said, though, I looked at Herbert. Herbert now with the injury is a little bit scary. He
broken hand.
broken hands, non-throwing hand, but still that's scary. The move that I made that I sent to in almost every league was I sent Lamar for Dart and a 27 first, which I would definitely take the Dart 27 first side, me personally, because I have so much belief in Dart. But I think there's some teams that might go, you know what? I'm getting fucking Lamar. I'm not even competing this year, potentially, right? Lamar brings me to be competitive next year. This is awesome. Let's go. So I think it actually makes a little bit of sense for both parties, and it could make sense for both owners if it does. I did send it to, I sent it a few times. I've got a few Lamar shares, like 6 or 7 of them. Anyway, long story short, I sent it, and one of the guys said, Lamar doesn't belong on my team, bro. Thanks. To your
Right.
point.
Which is
And I knew
fine.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a reasonable response,
Yeah.
to say that. And that's the thing is, you really, to be able to be a good trader, you got to understand your motivations, their motivations, and you got to understand how to negotiate. So,
Yes,
love
absolutely.
that. I just noticed that hat you're rocking, the 617.
You like
Dude,
that?
that is sick, bro.
Thanks, buddy. I wore it for you.
I live here, you don't live here anymore. How you got that? Now you don't.
I bought this in Boston when I was back visiting a year and a half ago. So there you go. So
Sick.
got this when I was there.
Look at the old cap. Not to derail us once again, but
No, it's a good 6. I wore it because I knew you were going to be on. This was
yeah.
about me and you. So yeah.
I think I got something here. How about that? There you go.
There we go.
Oh, I got all those behind me.
We got it all, baby. What are we doing
We
here?
got
What
it.
are we? I mean,
We got it going, dude.
I've
We
got the
got it
Larry
going.
Bird and he's in the other room. But anyway, okay. So let's go to something else.
You got Gemo, the icon shirt. That's a
Dude,
local
you know what's wearing the
Adam.
Gemo? Yeah.
That's a local guy. That's a
Exactly.
local Attleboro
Yes.
guy. So yeah,
There you
big
go.
shout out.
Yes, I did this all for you. I did it for you.
That's beautiful, dude.
All right. So are the Rams and the Seahawks the best 2 teams in the NFL?
How dare you? After all that Boston, you're trying to hold that in, dude. You're the worst.
I
After
mean, it's
after
a
all
fair
this Boston
question
talk,
if we're not Boston fans.
it is a fair question, and I will say this: if you asked me before last week, and probably still, but before last week, it was an obvious answer for me.
Yeah.
The Rams are the best team in the league because they got their quarterback is the MVP candidate. They have 2 incredible wide receivers. They have 2 running backs that can rock and roll.
Yep.
They have the best defense in the league. Like, you go and look, like, not enough people are acknowledging that. Like, every site that has some sort of grading system for defense had the Rams at 1. Going into last week, you check PFF, you check DVOA, like EPA, whatever you picked, like the Rams at least top 5 everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I think they still are the team to beat. I think this might be their wake up call game here. And they're great. And to the point on the Seahawks, I love Clint Kubiak. I was telling everybody coming in, like, this is a good scheme for fantasy because all the fullback and tight end usage highly consolidates the targets. I didn't think they would be highly consolidated to just one guy.
Yeah.
But that's great. right? You know, it's worked
Incredible,
out
man.
nicely for me in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Mm,
I will say. So I have CMC and JSN. Don't even matter who else I have.
I have CMC
Well,
as well.
we
Uh,
got to survive the bye week this week,
I
bro.
know. I have
That,
CMC and HN. I think that's pretty
oh
close to the
yeah, dude.
CMC JSN. I think
We're
that's
right there, dude, for sure.
mhm.
But I have the super secret weapon of Hunter Henry, so be
Strong.
careful. Be careful
I
now. Yeah.
My team is dope, as you obviously know. I finished the regular season.
Yeah, you're way up there. Yeah.
I'm in 118th or something like that. I did pass, so I'm into the next round.
I'm
Um,
past 2, yeah.
yep.
We'll see.
What
Yeah,
what what you
but I think I think if I had to, I would put the Rams at 1 still.
got?
And I think that at this point you can't just ignore the Patriots because like
I
when
agree.
we're talking about like power rankings, what are we talking about the end result being? Like the winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
And we know statistically that if you get that bye week, like that
Yes.
is one of the most important factors. Like how many years did the Ravens and the Bengals and the Bills tear each other to shreds only for Patrick Mahomes just to step over whatever corpse is left over because he was getting a bye week 18 and then another one to start the playoffs and they're coming in 2 weeks fresh versus whoever Bills Ravens just killed each other like
And
so
and
I
and
think
and and also, let me just say about the Patriots, because I'm gonna talk, like a doctor surgically here, not like a fan. Dude, they stop the run. They're well coached on defense. They're well coached on the defensive front. Their
Mhm.
defensive front plays so like disciplined. They're so good up front. And so they're gonna make another team play offensively one dimensionally and potentially out of their comfort zone.
Right.
They've got ball hawks on defense, Carlton Davis and Gonzalez. I mean, they've got playmakers all over the place, and then they've got a quarterback. Like that's all you really need.
That's all you need.
You need to be somewhat competent on defense, be able to get stops. I believe they can get stops on defense now. I mean, granted, they're not going to look like world beaters against dope offenses, but I think they can hold their own. But that's the same thing with every defense. No defense looks great against great offenses, but they're able to make some plays when they need to. Kansas City has been doing this, year over year. It's like their defense is never number one. I mean, pretty close, but they've got a
Right.
defensive line that can get after it. Like, they make some plays. I think where the Patriots struggle is probably pass rush. They don't have a dominant edge that can really affect them, and they're okay there, but they're middle of the pack. I think. Wouldn't
Right,
you
right.
say? Right?
The pressure well, the thing is they need Milton Williams back because if you the pressure from the inside these days, the
Yeah.
Eagles have obviously learned that, the Rams have learned that. If you can get pressure from the inside, then it can help ease those pains of not having just like a freak that
Yeah.
can, run horizontal to the ground and do the crazy spins. So like
Yeah.
they need to get him back. And I gotta say this, yesterday Robert Spillane left the game, and
Mm,
dude, listen to this dog
I didn't know
move
that.
by him. He left the game this is where I know I don't think he's badly hurt, but he left the game. They bring in Jack Giddens, right?
Yeah.
And he comes out and they put the green dot helmet on him because he's going to be calling the plays because, they
Yeah.
expected, uh, Spillane to be out and the helmet doesn't work. So they had to like you call like a timeout, basically like use a malfunction timeout. He goes out and Spillane comes back in and stuffs Tracy in the hole, and then he limps back off the field and doesn't come back out for the rest of the game. Like, talk about dog move where he's like, "I'm hurt, I got to come out," and then they're like, "Oh, my helmet doesn't work." He's like, "Okay, well,
Fine, I got it.
I'll be fine, I got it." And then he's like, "All right, you good? Is your helmet working? Because like I need to sit out the rest of the." And they didn't play the rest of the game.
Jeez.
Like, just absolute dog business
Yes.
from Spillane. He's got like 90 something tackles on the year. So like, if
The
he's
defense is
healthy,
tough.
it's tough. If he's
It's tough.
healthy and Milton Williams are healthy,
Yeah.
once coming out of the coming into the playoffs and like
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. So
They can
we'll
make some plays.
and
So
the offensive line's got to get healthy too. We need
special
Campbell. Like that's
teams
the
is
thing is
good.
the hypothetical team is one of the best in the league.
Yes. Special
If
teams is good.
everyone's healthy. Special teams great. Marcus Jones, dude,
Yep.
absolutely
Absolutely.
superstar. I mean,
I think those are some of the teams. I mean, Denver's the one that feels a little bit more of a paper tiger than the Patriots, but I
for
got to
sure.
give it to them. They've been winning since last year with Knicks and this whole system. They've got a defense. So I mean, when you look at like Patriots of those four teams, Patriots, Broncos, Rams, Seahawks, they have the worst defense of those four, but they're still a bit punchy, and they do have a passing game that is really impressive. I mean, they just have carved everybody up. It'll be interesting to see when they play some competition. But like you say, if they get that bye, they've got one home game to get to the AFC Championship, and anything can happen. So,
Right. That's it. So
LFG.
yeah, let's go.
Let's
I'm
fucking
fired
go.
up.
Let's go. Speaking of the team that is now I said this, dude, weeks and weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, I said, this Buffalo team looks like a punchy little, wild card team. And of course, that was before,
Right.
before the Patriots were in first place. Everybody was like laughing at me, thinking it was cute. Well, they are kind of a punchy little, wild card team. Buffalo, though, we talked about their lack of weapons and everything that's going on there. There's not a ton to get too excited about offensively, except for basically Josh Allen somehow gets it done every week, and of course James Cook's been unbelievable. But they get Cleveland and Philly in week 16 and 17. That's not great. I know Philly kind of got run over against Chicago, but that's not been their MO. They've been pretty stout defensively. Do you think actually Philly has turned the corner and they suck on defense? What's going on with Philly? But also Buffalo, not great matchups in the playoffs. Again, you may not be able to trust those awesome two players in Josh Allen and James Cook in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that, and here's what really stinks with the thing with Buffalo that seemed clear is that they don't have a guy that can move the sticks.
Right.
Everyone, Khalil Shakir
Kincaid.
should be that guy.
Right.
It's Kincaid that they're missing, and it's like you got to have that guy on third down where it's like we're going to go to this guy, and everybody knows it, and we're just going to make it happen, or they can settle into zones. It's a big reason why, and we talked about this on Twitter this week that like you and I have been proponents of half PPR plus first down, because like when you watch real football, the only two things that matter are can we get the first down? Can we get the touchdown? Go to an NFL game and you can feel it in the crowd, how much third down matters, how much getting that first down matters. And then it's about converting. And no one's happy with a field goal, right?
Nope.
It's like, it's all about converting.
Yep.
So that's why that should be with points. And without Kincaid, they got nobody reliable where like Josh really truly knows where he's going to be and that he can fire it in there. Even if there's a linebacker on his back, if he just throws it to the right spot, it's going to be caught. Right. And they need that. And what sucks for us in fantasy is that like right now is when they get the Bengals, man. The Bengals this year are the single worst team versus tight end that I've ever seen.
That's true.
Since I've been doing this, there have been some bad ones. 2020 Jets were bad. I mean, nearly 24 PPR points a game to the position.
It's unbelievable.
Stone worst, man. And this team, this is why I blame
Kincaid still out.
So we don't know yet.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Okay,
I'm hoping he plays, man. Because if he plays, I'm just starting him.
Yeah,
I don't care. I'll start him over Hunter Henry. Oh, Hunter Henry's on bye. I'm just starting him, man. I mean, there's not enough good tight ends. It's the best possible matchup. So, like, the thing is, the two teams you named, two of the worst matchups. Browns and Eagles. Eagles are a bottom three matchup for tight end. That's one thing they do really well against because Zach Bond. And also, when you go in the slot as a big slot tight end, you're just facing Cooper DeJean, right? Like you're not getting a better match. It's just not a good matchup for tight ends. It's them. Just for people listening, you don't want to start your tight ends against the Eagles. You don't want to start them against the Texans. Any pass catchers against the Texans.
Right.
And you don't want to start them against the Bills. Those are the three teams that are like, I'm real scared about those guys. Then there are some bad matchups. I categorize it into 5 different ones. People, if you check my waiver wire article at the very bottom, you'll have all the matchups for the rest of season for all the tight ends color coded. That's something I do this time of year. We move away from yin and yang tight end and we do that. So that's available now with 5 different color codings. Great matchups, good matchups, average, tough, and terrible. And there's only 3 teams that are terrible. Yeah. So it's like there's only 4 teams that are great. Like for the average team, for the average defense, it's hard to figure out week to week who's going to cover who's doing what. There's a few teams that we have such a consistent sample size of them being terrible versus the tight end are being very good.
And Cincinnati's that team for sure.
The worst I've ever seen. I mean, I tweeted this out, Jax. The Jaguars this year have allowed 16.7 PPR points to tight ends, which is the worst we've seen since 2020. The Jaguars, 17.6, right? The worst we've seen since 2020. The Bengals are allowing 23.6. So the second worst team over the last half decade is allowing 17.6,
That's
and the
nuts.
Bengals are allowing six more points per game.
Right, because
They are,
the tight end one is like 15 to 17 points a game. They're not scoring.
dude,
Yeah,
bro. They've allowed 14 touchdowns to tight ends.
that's
They've only played 12 games.
right.
It's like
That's
they are.
bonkers.
It's just brutally bad. Last week, both Andrews and Likely were. I mean, it's just there's nothing. I blame them. They had Jesse Bates. Like
Yeah.
all they do is pay Jesse Bates. That problem is not a problem. So
Whew.
yeah, I mean,
And
I
likely
just
fumbled one through the end zone. To your point, like they had another
fumbled
one.
through
That
the end zone. It should be even worse. They should be letting up 25 PPR points a game.
absolutely.
20, like in draft. Think about that on like DraftKings. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah, it's
25
crazy.
points. That's crazy, dude.
That
I'll
is
take
crazy.
10 points in any week for if my tight end gives me 10 points, I say, wow, we did it. You know what I mean? Like 25.
Speaking of tight ends that we like, Oronde Gadsden and the Chargers, this team is like fucking limping to the finish line, right? I mean, the offensive line brutalized, which is really the root in the center of all their issues. But I want to talk about Oronde, but I really want to talk about, we talked a little bit about Herbert. I think he's going to be okay, right? And then the real question I have is the Omarion, because here's one that I think really matters. If Herbert plays great, if Oronde Gadsden plays, I mean, he's come off a little bit from his torrid start, but I think he's still a top 12 start at the position. And for the most part, in dynasty leagues, if you've got him, you're playing him for the most part, excuse me.
I'm trying not to start Aronde this week though.
Mm,
If I can avoid it. I'm still gonna rank him in that range, but like I don't think he's healthy, man.
okay.
I've been watching, and again, I'm more of a stats than a film guy, but I obviously do both. You want
Yeah.
context? I've gone back and watched. Reminds me a little bit of like when Juwan Johnson hurt his knee against the Bills and had 3 down games. Like, I don't think this guy's fully healthy. And for this particular week, when he gets the Eagles, we just talked about how bad the Eagles are as a matchup. I'm trying, and his quarterback's got a broken hand. I'm trying not to start him if I can avoid it. I'm
Yeah.
trying not to if I can avoid it. And basically, I'm doing what I did with Juwan, which is like, okay, this guy's hurt. Let's wait for him to be healthy, and then when he's healthy, we'll put him back in there. And Juwan has had, 10, essentially 9, 10 PPR points in 6 straight games since he got healthy. So for me, I'm kind of putting Aronde on ice a little bit. And if you
Well,
can
this would
buy
be
him in Dynasty, buy him in Dynasty if you can. Like if people are
yeah, this
selling.
would be the
But
week to do it, considering he's playing your Eagles that you mentioned. So that's a
tough,
good call.
yeah, tough match. If you could start anybody else, like again, in Dynasty, it's tough. In Dynasty, you just start your guys. But if you have anybody else that's like fringe there, that has a good
Yeah.
matchup, you know, Darren Waller's got a really good matchup.
Yeah.
Brenton Strange has a good matchup. Like
Yep.
I probably will have. I might have those guys ranked ahead, man.
Yeah, it's
Gadsden does
close
not
for
look
sure.
right.
Yeah.
He doesn't look right to me because he doesn't look like the guy that we saw.
Right.
And what we know is he had this knee contusion of some kind, and that he hasn't looked good since then.
Right.
So for me, I'm willing to put him on ice if I have somebody else that's in that range. If the other option is start like Colby Parkinson, then just start Aronde.
Right. The big question for me though, and I don't know if you're going to be able to answer it, is the Omarion Hampton question, because I have a number of teams where Kamani Vidal is playing a prominent role on a team that's going to be, uh, getting a bye. So week 14, week 15, this is kind of all irrelevant to some of my teams and to some of the listeners who are listening. If you just earned a bye this week, like, which is, I see this happening all over the place. A lot of first round buys are clinched right now. So that means week 14, the last week of the regular season, week 15, irrelevant to that team. So I'm looking at week 16 going, dude, is Kamani Vidal even going to be a thing? Like, what do I do? I might need to, and then I hear, Marion setbacks and, not, he's kind of a scary proposition too. So what do you make of this Chargers backfield, and how should we be playing this maybe?
I'm not dropping Kamani Vidal until we see Hampton back. I need to see it in my eyes, right? I'm in that situation though. I am preparing for life without him.
You
I'm
got
preparing
to.
to not have him. Yeah, but I don't drop him because
No, well, in
people
Dynasty,
all
obviously not, but
last
in
year
redraft too.
in
Yeah.
redraft in any of
No,
it, like
absolutely.
because
Yeah.
in last year I had people for week after week after week going, "Can we drop Chuba Hubbard now? Can we drop Chuba Hubbard now?" And I'm like, they're not even saying a person they're adding. They're not even in the questions. They're like, oh, should I drop Chuba Hubbard to add this guy? They just want to drop him. They
Right.
didn't want to deal with it. They thought, okay, Jonathan Brooks is coming back and it's over. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes it isn't over. Sometimes, you get these compensation injuries when guys first come back, and they've been working out for to get back from this injury, and next thing you know, they pull the other hamstring. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
Guys coming back and testing it for the first time, and something happens. So I'm not dropping it. But you
That's
got to prepare for life without him.
That's kind of my thought here. And I wonder, even if, and again, this won't be what we're hoping for, but even if Omarion comes back, I wonder if there's a little bit of two-headed monster there where, they're not just going to be like, Omarion, yeah, you're fucking 100% fine to take on 30 carries. Let's just roll with you. I don't know that that's how they're going to play him either. So I'm kind of open to the fact that it could be, I don't know about 50-50, but close to.
Hypothetically, with lower body injuries, it should always work that way,
Right.
because you know what I mean? Because you wait for the guy to get healthy, fully healthy, and then he plays. But his cardio isn't back. You
Right.
saw it with like Waller when he came back. He was playing 36% of snaps, then 45, then 58. Like, if he was healthy enough to get his cardio up, then he would have already been playing. So
Right.
there's almost always a ramp up with the lower body injuries. With the upper body or ribs or whatever, that's when you see guys come back. Broken wrist, that's when the guy comes back and plays 90% of the snaps, because he's been riding the bike. He's been doing all that.
Right.
I mean, like 8 seconds at a time of gladiator sport over and over and over. Like, it's not really something that you typically see. And if that does happen, that means Hampton's actually been healthier than they've been leading on.
And I don't think
You
that's the
know,
case.
I don't think it's the case either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
Right? Because
not.
you even saw with Bucky Irving, he had to come out for a bunch of pass plays. You saw it with Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. How many Marvin Harrison Jr. played only like 60% of snaps? I mean, most cases, that's why we shy away a little bit from guys coming off these long-term lower body injuries, because it's like, it is very difficult to go 0 to 100.
Yeah, Marvin actually looked like he was favoring it a little bit on a few. There was a couple plays. I'm
Definitely.
like, is he hurt? Then he'd be back out
Yeah.
there. I'm like, I don't know. He
See him,
looked like
right?
he was
You
shaking
lose your
something
steam.
off or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
golly,
He hasn't been working out at all,
right?
at all. And it's like, you saw Isaiah Pacheco when he came back last year. He looked like he had lost muscle because he broke his leg. It's like, dude, it's really tough. This is the toughest game in the world, man.
Yes, for
That's why they get
sure.
paid the big bucks.
For sure. Hey, we're gonna hit a couple quick things, and then we'll roll. Right, we'll get out of here.
Cool.
We'll catch you out on a short one. We'll make it happen. Who knows? I'll say a couple quick ones. It'll be another 45 minutes. No, it won't be. I'm joking, but
But it might be.
might be. People right now looking at the wherever the thing is and how many minutes left. They're like, look, Jax was fucking right or whatever,
Yeah. We
or
saw
wrong.
2:30.
Yeah,
You and me meet up 2:30. Tight show.
yeah,
It's 4 o'clock. It's after
yeah.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, that's boom,
Tight.
in and out. That's what I'm
In
saying.
and out. In and out.
So, hey, tell all the people where you're at. I mean, Fantasy Alarm, you have the best, you do some of the best work in the business. I mean that. Absolutely love listening to you. You're enjoyable to listen to and talk to. So I know people love you, want to hear more.
Yeah. You can hit me up over on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube. I'm on there 5 days a week, 1 o'clock. Also on Sirius XM. We have a show every weekday. I'm on 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday and Friday. Also, as long as the season's going, Sunday mornings 10 to 11 on Sirius XM as well, man. And the thing about those shows, which I love every show, but every show is different. We got
Yeah.
shows that are waiver shows. We got shows that are start sit shows. We have shows on the Friday where we come in and we do a little more thinking and roster building. That's why I love coming on this show with you, man, because it's always another level of thinking, and it's much more exciting. I love the NFL season, but I'm always excited to get back in speculating mode with you. As
Yes.
my grandfather used to say, do a bit of speculating. Right?
Yeah.
I like to speculate, and I love writing the articles before free agency and before all that. That's like my favorite stuff, because it's like,
Yes.
let's see if we can rebuild our knowledge base from the bottom and find out where the uncertainties are, and then take advantage of them in best ball and dynasty and all that, and win. And that's what this show
Same.
is all about. And that's why I love this show. And that's why, even though my schedule's crazy right now, when you said, come on, I said, yeah, of course.
I appreciate it. It's true though. Same, because like, the off season, you're right. You're trying to figure it out. You got a lot of things to talk about. You can really try and, there's prospects, there's, you're trying to formulate what's going to happen during the season. It's just like, It's kind of like being
right.
in a boxing match, but you've never been in a boxing match before. You're just fucking hitting stuff and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to hit
It's like
everything.
It's funny. It's like, you know what it's really, I was thinking it's like a NASCAR race where it's
Yes.
like, you're building this beautiful race car and,
Yeah.
but then when the race starts, you're like
Oh
using
shit,
duct
hang
tape
on.
to put the
Yeah.
fender back. Yeah, it's like you're cleaning bugs off the
Holy
windshield.
smokes.
The wheels are falling off. A
Yes.
wheel goes rolling down the pit. It's like,
Yes.
what, like, and
Crisis
it's too,
management.
it's that's why it's good to have these shows during the season to sit back, take a step back and be like, okay, let's, instead of just thinking about who we like,
Start sit,
let's think
start
about
sit, start sit, start sit.
why. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my life. That's why it's a good
Oh,
break for this. I
yeah.
just got off my waiver show. So
Yes.
it is nice to come in and do that. But yeah, we're in the middle of the race, man. We're on the last few laps here, and
Yeah.
a lot of cars have already crashed. So we're trying to keep our last few ones on the track.
It is true though. You're right. I don't really want to have a waiver show or a fucking start sit show. First of all, I'm not good at start sit. People will start sit me.
No
I
one
used to
is, bro.
answer and say I'm bad. Now I don't even answer. I'm like, listen, you don't want to hear anything I've got to say about this. But like, it's just sort of
I
true.
I
I
I
don't
always
fucking
give an
know.
explanation. That's
Yeah.
what I got tired of doing, like, yes, no, this guy, no, that guy,
Yeah.
whatever. And I created my own show where we answer every question, and I always give an explanation.
Yeah.
I
That's fair.
always say, unless we have to go pure rapid fire to get
Right.
through, I always say, here's why. Here's
Yeah.
what I would do, and here's why I would do it. And then
Yeah.
that way you can, at least when you come back to me and you say, why did you actually would in most cases people don't come back and say, hey, why did you say this? Because I already told you why,
Right.
and we're doing our best, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, for start sits for me, like, you already know the deal. And I think
Yeah.
a mark of one of the best of being a great analyst is to be able to say, hey, we don't know.
Yeah.
We know some things we couldn't possibly know. So I'm going to tell you right now, I have no idea what the split between a Marion Hampton and Kamani Vidal are going to
Right.
be, because these two dudes have never played together, essentially.
Right.
They're both, for all intents and purposes, rookies playing for like the first time. Like, Jim Harbaugh is literally crazy. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
thinks that, like, sleep and milk and steak or steroids. It's like the guy
Yeah.
is literally
Right.
crazy. So I truly couldn't tell you what's going to happen, but I'll tell you what
Yeah.
I would do in my fantasy league, and we're pretty good at this. So that's the best we can give you.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like, you want more context. Sometimes if it's close, it's kind of like, well, what's the situation on your team? Trav always points out the fact that, and we've mentioned this a million times, and it's an old thought process, but if you're an underdog, you want more variance. If you're a favorite, you want something more solid. So it's like,
Bingo.
I'd take Hunter Henry over Oronde Gadsden if I'm, favored. If I'm an underdog, give me Gadsden. He could go fucking nuts or whatever. I'm making it up.
No, but you're right though. Black Friday is the worst start sit day of the season,
Yeah,
because I have to turn to people and be like, hey, did you play Amon-Ra St. Brown? Did you play,
right,
like, I had a team where I had Amon-Ra St. Brown going, and I had the uh I think it was like a Ravens defense, because I had nothing else. It's like I had two players going that scored 2 points.
right.
It's like you got to give some context. So it is, start sits are tough, and I think that people that listen to this show, what they're doing is they're learning enough that they have minimal start sit questions. And I think what you're going to
Yeah,
find, the more you know and the more you understand game theory, is that the start sit questions that you end up with are ones that nobody knows. And you should
yeah,
just you should just trust the data points that you have, and your instincts. Like, if you
yeah,
can get to that level, then you're a true gamer. And I think
yeah.
there's a lot
And
of people that listen to this that are fucking monster gamers.
yeah, and for me too, when I was younger in fantasy football, not even in this talking about fantasy football, just playing, you'd get cute a lot. You'd be like, dude,
Right.
you'd point chase a lot. You'd do things where you're like, and then I was like, no, you should just mostly just play your studs. Like
Right.
mostly just play the guy that's projected to score more than the other guy because he's projected to score more than the other guy. That's why. You know what I mean? It's like,
Everybody, you know what a big one of those
yeah.
is, Jax? Everybody wants to play the guy they just picked up off waivers.
Yes, yes. Well, and
It's
everybody
like,
wants to be. I played so and so over Saquon. It was right. They want to
yeah,
make this big fucking move, and it's like, no, just play Saquon. I
you
mean,
don't got to do that, dude.
you
I
know,
do
I,
that when I
it's,
draft, like
it is
in the
what it is.
Scott Fish Bowl. When I draft, I'll make those decisions every once in a while. I'll be
Yeah,
like, if I'm going to win this giant tournament that I'm definitely not going to win, I'm
right.
going to do it picking
This
my
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do it picking this guy. I'm going to make a real stand.
Watch
I
this,
think I
Harold
drafted.
Fannin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me exactly. I have like
yeah,
7 tight ends because it's
yeah.
in premium. Like,
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Hey, it worked. Harold Fan has been good.
Harold Fan
Great
has
in
been
that
good.
format.
Yeah, exactly. With a little bit of quarterback play, I think he's proven that he's quite a nice player. I don't think he's an elite top end, top 3, 4 type tight end guy. I think he's just a volume guy that's
Can't
going to
be
be
outrange.
a fucking dope football player for a long time.
Huh?
Yep. Speaking of dope football players who have played for a long time, Mike Evans. I just want to hit this real quick. What did we? Is he's a maybe to come back, but
Maybe.
probably not
Yeah.
till maybe
But
even.
they said this week's not out of the
Oh wow.
equation. Which
Okay.
when they say that, yeah, they actually said that, I think no, Schefter said it last weekend. He said he's not playing today,
Mm,
but next week's not out of the equation. So
interesting.
that tells me that he will play before the end of the season.
Love to
I
see
mean,
him back.
that's
Love to see him back.
yep.
And I know he's been an interesting one because if you've been holding Mike Evans in Dynasty, you've probably not been able to trade him because there's no rebuilding team who wants to pick up Mike Evans, and there's no competing team that's wanted to trade for Mike Evans. I know I've got both. I've got a competitive team and a dead team. They both are just holding Mike Evans because there's nothing they can do. I'm telling you, for the dead team, it's almost better for that team that he comes back this week so that he can show something. So maybe I can sell him to a playoff contender.
Right.
The alive teams, yeah, it's like, hey man, maybe I can get a shot in the arm in the flex here. So I think this gives us a little bit of hope for what you can do with Mike Evans. On one team, I had Mike Evans and Terry McLaurin both dead on the bench. Terry McLaurin comes back and got 14 targets this past week. Terry McLaurin alive and well.
Possibly redefined his entire season with one game. And I know they threw like 55 times, but like
Yeah.
he was a dog. They went to
Yeah.
and you know what? That one, the heroic play by Debo Samuel at the end of the game there.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin already made that play,
Yeah.
but it was a penalty. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
Terry McLaurin made the play first, then he was tired and somebody else made the play.
Yes.
Like Terry, like that's exactly it. That's what you're hoping for Evans. He comes back and has a 120-yard game, and there you go. Like he's not going to do that every week because they're not going to
No.
throw 50 plus times. But like
Right.
Terry McLaurin is good. They gave him a lot of money. I mean, too. Talk about the new owners taking over the team, going.
Yeah.
Thank
No shit.
goodness. Thank goodness that guy showed up and did something because think about that. If he didn't play at all this season, all off season, every talking head in the Washington D.C. area would be like, "Wow, boneheaded move, loser move, Terry McLaurin. Can't believe we paid that guy." Instead, he showed up, at halftime. The Mud Dogs got 14 targets. Like it's
Yes.
the Mud Dogs didn't win the Bourbon Bowl, but like now you can't say that the guy's a bum because I just watched him. He's not.
Yeah, he's not a bum.
No.
Aaron Jones. This one kind of has a little bit of a ripple effect. First of all, the way I see this is that neither back is very enticing because the team is so fucked up, in Minnesota.
Right.
But if
Yeah.
one of them were hurt, maybe the other one's okay. You know what I mean?
The Devin Neal corollary, right? Like
Yeah, right.
any
Exactly.
starter, anybody that starts, you need to have them on your team just so no one else can have them. But Jordan Mason's already rostered. I will say this: Aaron Jones, man, this is one of those running back injuries that every older running back just deals with until they're done, which is the AC joint, right?
Mm,
It's have you ever seen a picture of Keenan Allen's shoulder? Don't Google it, but it's gross. It's
hmm.
like his shoulder permanently has like a unicorn horn on his shoulder. And like that's from lowering your shoulder and getting popped in the shoulder over and over and over again for your whole life. And Dalvin Cook, if you remember Dalvin Cook, that was always the problem with him.
Yes.
And it is a pain tolerance issue, and it's unavoidable for a running back. And even if Aaron Jones does come back, that's going to be a problem for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It's just
And
AC
it's
joint
such a
is
good
just
matchup against Washington too. So
I
it's a tough
know,
spot.
man. And he
Yeah.
could be fine. And I guess you might have to start him if he's going, just
Yeah.
because like guys will play through it. Aaron Jones said it himself. He's like, I've played through this. This isn't something that just happened this week. He has a shoulder issue permanent.
Yes. What about? Well, yeah. It opens up the Jordan Mason, although that's not all that
Does
exciting. Drake London. Drake London. We've been asking about Drake London sort of for a while now because it's like, he's also not likely to play in this week. He also, when he comes back, will be catching passes from Check's notes, old man.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
Yeah. If he plays, I'm gonna play him though.
Yeah, I know.
I
You got to
just,
play him.
I had him ranked pretty low against the Patriots, against Christian Gonzalez, and he avoided Gonzalez and scored 3 touchdowns. And I think this guy's just too good.
Would you in Dynasty? Ready? This is where you make the big bucks. Ready? You hold Drake London. You are a competitive team. Would you trade him straight up for George Pickens?
Yeah, well, that's the show, folks. Thanks for everybody for tuning in.
That's so good.
Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I mean, I just think that that's as fair of a trade as you're going to get right now, which is that you take advantage of the situation. If you have Pickens and you're not competing, and you can swap him for London and take advantage of somebody who needs to win now, But I'll tell you what, if I'm going to miss the playoffs if I lose this week on a team where I have the chips pushed and I have CMC and I have Travis Kelce and all these older guys, then I'm going to just do what I got to do to win, because my philosophy is almost always to put my name on the trophy and the money in my pocket anytime I have the opportunity to do so. So I will do that. And the thing is, you're not buying a bum.
Right.
Like you're not trading for Jacoby Myers.
No, you're not trading for Joe Mixon.
You're not trading. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You're not trading for somebody. Well, the thing is that there are examples that we could give of like, who's an older wide receiver. Like you're not selling and this is honestly something you probably do too, but you're not selling your soul for Devontae Adams here.
Yeah.
Which Devontae Adams is a player that you might need to win, but like George Pickens
has runway
26, 25. Like he's you got plenty of time.
Yep.
So you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul here.
Yep.
You still have you're moving diagonally down.
Would you trade Drake London for Devontae Adams and a 27 first?
No. Nope.
So good, right? It's so good.
No, that's because by the time with the 20s, you've done too much. You have such a dynasty scrambled brain that you go for the 20s. Yeah, but you're smart enough to go for the 27 first, because you know that by that time you'll be blowing it up, right?
Yep.
So because if you had said 26 first, I would have said no right away.
Yeah.
You dino game theory, dude. You got that dino mind. That,
yes, sir.
You know how to pull the right strings to get the answers that people don't want to give. So I wouldn't do it that.
Last one, and we're done. This is the one where Jaden Daniels. Because is he going to play again? I mean, because here's the thing: if I'm the GM ownership of, I don't want him going back out there and getting hurt again.
I have a league with Jaden Daniels, and I was smiling ear to ear when I heard a quote from a surprising source for if you're rooting for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
But the day that Joe Burrow came back and said, "I'm a football player. If I'm healthy, I'm going to play.
Yep.
I don't care what the record is." That to me, as a Jaden Daniels owner, I was doing the Leonardo DiCaprio point at the screen thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you see that, Jaden? Are you going to be healthy? Are you going to be healthy and not play football? Is that what your plan is? Are you going to let them put the bubble wrap on you when Joe Burrow's out here slinging the rock on Thanksgiving? Throwing laser beams at Mitch Tinsley? Are you really going to sit out? Because I mean, we got one guy who's a warrior. I mean, what are you? So for me, that quote goes a long way to say, hey, does Jaden Daniels really want to have that on his conscience? That all his brothers are out there getting the snot kicked out of them, and he's going to be like, "Oh, I'll just go. I'll be back next year. I'm okay, but I'm gonna this one out." Like, I don't think so. I think if he's good, if he can play, he's gonna play.
I don't think I'm putting it on him. I'm putting it on I'm the guy paying him type of thing.
I know, but you can't shut him down.
No, you
can't shut those guys down. Well, I mean, you could.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You have to get him to collude with you.
Of course, they have to be in on it. Otherwise, it's a risk.
You need the doctors to collude, and I've seen doctors collude. I saw the doctors convince Michael Thomas that he didn't need surgery so that he would play in a playoff game. And then afterwards, they said, "Oh boy, you should have surgery right now." And he was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, we were just kidding." And that's that. Then he obviously didn't get the surgery right away. Turns out that he did need surgery when he got the second opinion, and he had it. And by that time, he had the setback and missed the entire season. It's like, of course, I wouldn't trust the certain guys. You got to get second opinions, but like, if I'm Jaden Daniels and I'm healthy, I just don't know how I can watch these games. You watch to go back to the Patriots game we were watching, dude. How are you going to sit there healthy and watch people take hits like that, and you're just gonna,
Yes.
let that happen. No way. If he's
Yeah.
healthy, he's going to play. So it's just a matter of whether he gets healthy.
Yeah, it's a gladiator sport, and it's so fucking
Yeah, you
badass, and I
can't
love
be putting him on
watching every
ice,
minute.
man.
By the way, another visually pleasing game was that Washington-Denver game. I thought Mariota, man,
Great.
he was a fucking inch away from getting it over that dude's fingertips for the game-winning two-pointer. Would have
He
been
was
so
open
cool. He
too.
was
It was
open.
open. He was
Dude.
doing designed runs up the gut too, like Mariota.
You just
Like,
felt it
that's
for
the thing.
Mariota too, because I
He
mean,
just wanted to play.
that was such a
He just wanted
battle.
to play ball, dude.
He wanted to win
Yeah.
that game. You know, I was watching. This is when you talked about are there teams on the downside, like on losing records that are going to give in. 2 games tell me that's not going to happen. One was that Washington game and the way that they fought. They fought hard and they all cared about that game. Number one. Number two was watching the Jets celebrate after they won. Dude, it looked like they just won the Super Bowl. Like someone was watching that. I don't know if it was my son or someone at work. I don't remember where the hell I was when that game happened. They're like, wait, are the Jets any good? I'm like, no, they're terrible. He goes, why are they celebrating? I'm like, it's the NFL. It's football. This is football. If you play football against anybody, you want to win. That's why there's no tanking in football, because you can't convince 53 motherfuckers you can't tank. You can't do it.
You have to. The only one that can tank is the GM.
Yeah, or maybe the coach a little bit can call, running plays on 3rd and 7,
They tried.
Fullback
the Dolphins
dive.
tried that. The Dolphins tried that, and Brian Flores is like, no.
Yeah, it's hard to
You know?
do. So anyway,
I think it's the best way to do. That's how you got to operate an organization.
Yeah,
the ownership can decide whether to tank or not, and the GM is their puppet to do that.
right.
But you never want the coach and the guys in that room playing to lose.
Agree.
So you got to separate those two beasts. You
Yep.
can do what the Lions did and let Galladay and Marvin Jones and all these guys leave and build a team that's built to lose, but never tell the coach. The coach is always going to play to win, and you have to do it that way.
I don't even. Yeah, you're coaching for your life anyway. I mean, it's your livelihood. Yeah, if you want to say I need to lose week 16 and 17, but you give me a 10-year, $100 million extension right before week 16,
right?
Maybe we can talk.
Well, you get it. That to me is still collusion. I don't even want those. I don't even want that business in the air. Yeah, I don't.
I'm just saying. I didn't say I'm gonna do it. I just said we're open to conversation. We're starting to understand. We're seeing eye to eye, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
We're, starting to see things your way a little bit more.
Give me that contract. I'll do whatever you want. Okay, that's the deal.
Yes, that's exactly.
I'll go out there. Yeah, I'll play my.
I'll play tight end if you need me to.
Exactly. I'll return a kick.
Yeah. Oh man.
You're only gonna get one out of me. You're only gonna get one out of you only get one out of me, and then I'll be dead. But my family will enjoy that money.
Do you know how bad it would look if a person like me returned an NFL? Like,
it looks crazy when
I'm not fast amongst my friends, and they're all old motherfuckers.
It looks absolutely crazy sometimes when Jared Goff runs, and Jared Goff can dunk. He's you know what I mean? Jared Goff is a good athlete. It's just these guys are freaks. Put us out there, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Hey man, thank you so much for doing this. We did a clean 45-minute show. It's awesome. Thank you so much.
Bro, I am so far, but I haven't even had lunch. Goodbye, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you.
And speaking of which, on behalf of everybody here at the Undrafted, on behalf of everybody here at the Undroppables, on behalf of the greatest podcast producer to ever walk the land, Mr. Michael P. Duncan, you have been joined by the Coupe Fiasco. I am Jax Falcone, and we are out.